I realize a true and passionate conversation, an intellectual and real conversation is hard to find these days. You see, I want to talk to somebody who sets no limits for themselves. Someone who isn't so happy, but they still believe. I want to talk to somebody who is fighting in their flesh, but they still believe. I want to talk to somebody that knows they have a reason inside of themselves to keep going, to know they're better than this. Someone that knows they're stronger than this. Someone that knows they will survive this. Who on this damn earth would still be going right now if you weren't? See, things are going to happen to you, pioneers, that are not of your control. You're going to get knocked around and pushed down, but you got to get right back up. You can't let your environment make you weak. You have to get to the point of your life where you say, I've had it. Can't live like this no more. Nope, gotta be more for me. See, you gotta get tired of losing, of coming up short, of eating out of trash cans. You gotta be tired of watching everybody around you graduate towards success while you fall short towards failure. At some point, you gotta be fucking tired of not being number one. You have to be. You gotta fucking play angry. You think things are gonna go your way? Well, they're not gonna fall in your hands. You think things are gonna happen for you? You'll wait till tomorrow? No. You gotta make things happen right now, today. See, life is never gonna give you what you want. It ain't gonna give you what you'd love to have. See, everybody would love to be successful. Everybody wants success. They want financial independence. But life only gives you what you'll accept. If you'll accept failure and complacency where you're already at because you're just content, gonna go home and kick your shoes off after work, not put in no extra work, well then that's what you're gonna get from life. It's gonna give you what you put in. If you wanna win, you gotta show up and show out and show demand for yourself. Success and fulfillment and happiness is what I want. You gotta get it. You gotta believe you can do this. That you were created for this. That you were called for this. You have to honor your mind, your body, your temple, your soul, and prepare yourself for what is out here in this reality and matrix. So you gotta uplift the vibrations and the frequency so you can build your confidence and self-esteem. You can turn your life around if you change your attitude. And you change your attitude by changing your altitude. Can I get a hello? Stop sitting there with a life of mediocre nonsense, because that ain't what you were created for. You have to start living your life in expectation that you were the greatest of all time ever created within inside your own paradigm. You got to start creating things and making them happen for you in order for you to reach your successful higher purpose. The moment you change the frequency and vibrations that your tower, which is your temple, which is your mind, which is your body, emits, then that's the moment things come back to you. Start working and developing yourself for what it is you want, because you already expect to have it. Yes, it can happen. Yes, you can have it. Yes, you can be it. Yes, you can do it. But you have to be very proactive. And you can't sit back and wait for it to happen to you. You got to go get it and not allow anything to stop you. You can't allow what happens on the outside to impact what happens on the inside, your attitude, your energy. You got to make up your mind and realize it's either a blessing or a lesson. Either you fail or you succeed. And if you fail, you get back up saying, how can I do it differently this time? I can't stop, won't stop. Gotta get it. Get out of cruise control and get in control. Get in control of your day, your life, your hours, your minutes, your seconds. You got the same 24 hours in a day that everybody else got. What are you doing with them? Start taking control of your life, because what you believe in your hearts and speak in your minds will eventually become your words and your reality one day. And what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset. And what gets ingrained in your subconscious mindset, well, it becomes an unconscious action and an unconscious activity. And I've always wanted mine to be guideful, helpful, and nurturing to others. So I'm sending you all much love and high vibrations out to wherever you are in this matrix and galaxy, pioneers. I've been missing you all. Certainly hope you're doing well. I want you to kick back, relax, get your favorite drink, your favorite snack, light up your favorite strand, as we get ready to kick off another episode of the Daily Candle Close News. And boy, I just poured my heart and soul into that intro, and we shaking. You know, it's coming from the heart, you guys. Sending you all much love and hope you've been doing well. Let me grab a quick drink of water, please. All right. Now, as we sit back and we relax and we zoom out with a 30,000 foot overview, and we don't get lost in the nonsense and the minutiae and monotony around Celsius going bankrupt, or the nonsense we see in the crypto sphere right now. We don't get lost in the MicroStrategy losing over $1.26 billion, or Michael S. Barr getting appointed to the Fed chair, coming to save the day for the crypto industry. Nonsense. We're just looking at technical analysis and taking the past data and analyzing what we've seen and then going forward. We talked about how this could be the very first ever macro ABC corrective wave that we've ever seen for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for quite some time. So when we zoom in on these charts, we get lost. Okay? And a small move to the upside may not even show anything in the price charts on the weekly, monthly time frame, etc. Remember, we're in this for the long term and not here to get rich quick like most people believe cryptocurrencies or investing is. We've built a due diligence and mind frame around a long-term investment thesis. So when we first look at these charts, we want to know what the overall trend for the market is doing. And we can only find that by zooming out and never, ever getting caught up in the shorter time frame of things. So what if a crypto goes up on the daily 100%? On a weekly time frame, what is that if it's done nothing? You know, if we're still in an overall macro downtrend and a consolidation boring period. So again, most people want to get caught up in the hype when something's sexy and euphoric, but cryptocurrency 75+% of its time is always in what some would consider a bear market. So you're telling me you would only want to get happy 25% of the time and 75% plus of the time you want to be miserable? No. This is the greatest time to attack and build a fundamental position in portfolios, etc., or your mindset and thesis as well. So seeing this large ABC corrective wave pattern bringing us into a 4-week consolidation with a bearish retest of the 200 simple moving average, showing 4 weeks of closes below this 200 simple and the 223 exponential moving average. That's showing something we've never seen in the history of Bitcoin. Multiple record-breaking number of weeks below these moving averages. This red and this yellow line right here. That's not amazing. We want to see the bulls flip and reclaim these levels for a bullish move higher. Or otherwise, well, we're still in a bearish downtrend and a bearish momentum and sentiment in the markets. Okay, so until we see these areas flip, Michael S. Barr or nobody's coming to save the day. Technical analysis and fundamental theses and mindsets are going to be what saves the day in the long term. So something we've been talking about is just reflipping these areas for a bullish retest and push to the top side of this falling wedge pattern. This is a very bullish pattern, and if you do your research on a falling wedge pattern, you see it breaks out to the upside 68% of the time. And that's going to obviously be showing a lot of confluence with things like the RSI and the MACD, etc. And well, what do you know? When we look back, we know recently we've spoken about this hidden bullish divergence on the weekly time frame for the MACD that's showing, well, I would argue seller exhaustion and an uptrend on the MACD. So we still want to see this signal line eventually flip and start working its way back up. I mean, it's really oversold on the MACD. But when we get rid of this MACD and we look at the RSI, we remember another very important oversold, underbought territory for the weekly time frame. So just seeing this historic overbought period on the weekly time frame, it's adding a lot of confluence to what we're talking about with this falling wedge pattern that we could see when we zoom out a potential break in the near distant future towards the upside. Let's say maybe a potential possible, we know we're up roughly, this bearish retest of the 200 simple was about 27% plus or minus. So could we see a potential, who knows, 72% to retest the firmament dome? We know we all live under a firmament. It's in Genesis. They've told us this throughout time. I'm just saying, go reread that. But we know this firmament dome has played back, going all the way back to the C19 sell-off. So that was the last time we sold below our 200 simple and the 223 exponential moving averages on the weekly time frame, but we didn't close the weeks below it. We've never closed weeks below it. Only weeks below the 223 when we go back in time, but never below the 200 or below both. So very important that we remember that this could potentially be bringing a bounce in structure over the next several weeks. Not financial advice, but this is something we just got to pay attention to moving forward and not get caught up in the short term, the daily, the 2-hour time frames that we've been talking about. But we do want to continue to break this down to the daily as well. Again, just respecting this trend line going back in time. So if we can assume that the price action is going to continue in this pattern, we should break to the upside and retest this range. When technical analysis is not respected, say we get a break, most people would feel like, oh man, I failed. John didn't do it. Well, you're not supposed to be following me anyway. You're supposed to be doing your own thesis and building your own craft and skill around the work that we give away for free here, not financial advice. But these are some of the best trading opportunities. The best trades come sometimes from when TA fails, because everybody tends to have the exact same conversation as everybody else. Everybody right now thinks Bitcoin's going down lower, and if people get trapped, the market is going to punish them. So, we've called on the smaller time frames, bear trap here, and we saw this move higher, this bull trap here, and then we saw this move down lower. It comes back to trading the ranges, and we have to be able to trade the ranges. And I'm going to probably go over this on the short-term time frame towards the end of this video, or in my next, and we'll go into it, in depth, and it'll be a pretty banging, opportunity for you to learn. But we know we were in this small, say, falling wedge pattern right here. You can draw, boom, some trend lines right here, and we're in this falling wedge pattern, just like we talked about on the weekly time frame, with a 68% breakout, boom, and we saw that. So we know that there was a 68% chance of seeing that, and we fell all the way down here to below our trend line on the new moon on the 13th, where we know when we pull up our moon phases, we know the new moons typically bring bullish energy in the markets, and the full moons typically bring bearish energy in the markets. So this rapid sell-off that was bought up euphorically on the 2-hour time frame on the day of the full moon is not surprising here. We saw this sell-off come in perfectly 5 days before our full moon, and then it fell into a descending falling wedge pattern. Okay, not surprising that we see this. We teach you all this going back in time for a year now, how important these 5 to 3 days before each cycle, this lunar cycle, can be. 3 to 5 days, okay, 3 to 5 days before our new moon, we were hitting our top that retested the top side of either the bear flag that you have drawn or the bearish pennant that we have drawn. There's multiple technical analysis layouts that we have drawn out. Even if we just go to ranges like the 181 lows, Satoshi Nakamoto gives us 181, which is the 42nd prime number. Satoshi Nakamoto is the creator of Bitcoin. Okay, we know how important that 181 bottom is. Then we had that 1993. The low of our mid-range, that 20,000 is our psychological middle range. This 21.5 is the high of our mid-range, and the top that's coming in right here at around 227, right here where we first got our rejection from after we sold off. So we could just trade levels and ranges, but we've got a bear pennant that we've been following. We've got a bear flag that we've been following, which is this parallel channel with a heart line drawn through it. And every time we get below this heart line, it's bearish. Okay, every time we get above it, it's euphoric. We don't spend a lot of time in this bear flag above this heart line. And when we do, we're expecting a trend reversal to the bottom side of our levels, of our bear flag. So undeniable, if you pay attention to the levels in the technical analysis, you could have been watching for this euphoric move to retest the top side of this trend line of this bearish pennant, or the heart line of our bull flag. We know we've had a level of 20,900 that's been playing in the cards as a very key level, and tomorrow when you look at the date, it adds up to 29. So let's pay attention to see if we can break this level moving into tomorrow. We're going to break tomorrow down because I think it's a very important day moving forward into the 21st, 22nd of the month. We know how important this time period is going to be, and the 23rd is 5 days before our next new moon. So we can, probably see a top or bullish energy continue to come in all the way up until, the first few days of August. If we were to see this energy continue 3 to 5 days after the new moon that comes in on the 28th. So this is a very important time period over the next week or so for cryptocurrency energy wise. We know this energy really started to come into the markets around this July 4th area, 7/4 Independence Day. So while everybody was watching fireworks, we were able to take advantage of this potential move that's led us ultimately to where we are today. Still trying to reclaim that 20,900 and hold support above our bearish pennant. So I'm gonna probably zoom back out and start to view this on the daily time frame and try and give more confluence as to where I think we are moving forward, because I don't want to get caught up in the lower time frames without starting this off on the weekly and then breaking it down on the daily as well. Getting lost in the smaller time frames and these bearish pennants and bear flags and all this is great, and it's a way for us to learn, but ultimately right now we really need to just pay attention to the fibs. And until we can reclaim this 702 at 21,000, roughly 21,500, an area we know is important, and start to push up even higher, then I'm not really considering to continue to want to break these down day by day. I really feel like I can give you all more by zooming back out and essentially looking at the daily time frame. So let's do that and find a clean chart. All right, and we'll get rid of this. We'll be comparing some time periods on the daily time frame with some horizontal supports and some breaks of horizontal supports. We know for quite some time we were in about a year-long horizontal trading range going sideways while continuing to set over time higher lows until we had a break of structure, ultimately again in this falling wedge pattern. So this horizontal support right here and then this break of structure leading into this consolidation for about a month plus now is really showing me something very similar to this long, arduous trading range back here before seeing a break of support and then some, just some minutia and monotony action into a boring sideways period before we led into a buying climax and an automatic rally. So it's something I want to just share with you all in case we were seeing this exact thing play out. So when we broke out into all-time highs in this blow-off top and came back down into an ABC corrective pattern, I was sharing with you all earlier how important this was because this ABC corrective pattern has traded for quite an exuberant and grandiose amount of time, a lot longer than 2018, because as Bitcoin grows in market cap, it should lose volatility. So to see this drag out, it's kind of amazing to see how much it's doubled or tripled or quadrupled in time, because this was a 49-day ABC corrective pattern with a very grandiose amount of, from the lows of this last dip would say, 534%, whereas for the C19 sell-off, it's, only been, it's been double, quadruple that. So, not surprising. I was thinking that as we saw price action to the upside, we'd see some sort of diminishing returns, and that's pretty exuberant, to be quite frank. Down 72%, and now we're down roughly, the same thing. So, that's not surprising to see at least diminishing returns on the percentage to the downside. We've tripled the percentage to the upside, but we know the Feds really had a lot to do with this, throwing repo liquidity injections and money nonstop into the markets. Basically $13 trillion worth over the span of a year that they printed and threw into the economy that they then poured into the markets, etc. So to see this triple throughout the C19 minutia and monotony, not surprising, but still seeing a 72% corrective pattern on both of these time periods before breaking a horizontal trading support and breaking down into a cluster of consolidation. Well, it's just very similar, except for the fact that this was a 49-day time period and this is 217. Can Bitcoin go lower? We've talked about that. Absolutely it can. And a lot of the work that we've shared recently, when we've shared how as we transition through the end of this year, moving into quarter one of 2023, how it could be a very explosive time period and how this can be an interesting pivot year, moving us into the big eclipses that will come in 2024. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but anybody who's into astrology and that follows my work, we know that I put most of my focus and energy into the eclipses through any year. So November, October this year coming up, I'm utilizing that big time period for any big, incredible buying opportunities or euphoric rallies for a de-risking possibility. But I want to give this market time to give me what I've been waiting for, which is the end of September and the Shemitah, the 7-year sabbatical cycle. So as a more sophisticated investor, I've learned a very important trait, which is called patience. And patience gets rewarded for those who put in the work and actually design their own investment thesis and the things that they are aware of, and the things that they have going on for themselves financially. So that might have been something that a lot of people weren't doing during this time period, and when they were in disbelief of crypto, especially after right here, or if they were still in disbelief throughout this time period and they just continued to think they would see 100k Bitcoin after they had already seen, a 143% increase to the upside since June and July. When something goes against us, it's on us. There's no finger pointing, there's no blame game, but we learn a lot, and that's what this is all about. There's no mistakes, because all of our mistakes are our greatest choices. So all of our successes are just us doing the work and taking advantage and taking every moment as an opportunity that we might not ever get back. So structurally, I do see this being a very similar break of a horizontal trading structure to the downside. And if we were to continue to, like I say, measure this down, it's about 72%, very similar to this right here. But as Bitcoin goes up less, it should come down less, is what I was trying to say earlier. But we have the Shemitah this year, and it's been very chaotic, and I hope I've been helping people get ready for a potential rally into an even bigger washout if we were to get that, regarding that 9 to 12K range towards the end of the year. But I do like how we've been holding a sideways structure on the daily time frame, even though we free fell with this pole of either a bear pennant or a bear flag, where we've just ping-ponged like up here. I just want to know if after a 72% down to the down crease, if we get an automatic rally and an increase in price. The RSI is pushing strong, but it's not quite bullish yet. So that's something we want to pay attention to. Can we break this $20,900 range, which we see there's really no trading in between until we get back up into this psychological 30K range, this 29K range. So we'll just say 27 to be conservative. But it's going to be very important to see what happens moving forward on the daily time frame when we zoom out, because again, only unless we zoom down into the lower time frames that we've been in, like the 2 hour, 4 hour, there's really no trading in between these ranges. So I'm just trying to go with what I'm seeing in the technical analysis that gives us a potential possibility to see a de-risk in some of our favorite altcoins before setting an ultimate lower low, possibly towards the end of the year. Again, we're in an overall downtrend in the markets for 8+ months now. So until we confirm a bottom, which could take up to a year, then and I don't think that this is how that's going to play out. I just think it's going to be a possible pretty dramatic wicking opportunity that's bought up very quickly, like C19, over the span of the next few months. If we were to see this play out structurally, we can continue to have this be our low and just move up even further and have a 68% chance break to the upside of this falling wedge pattern on the weekly or daily time frame. Who knows? I'm not here to predict. I'm just here to break down the best I can with all the work that I do exo and esoterically, and just try and watch for a potential opportunity to de-risk or accumulate over the long term for this market. It's not necessarily all about the structure or the shape and the fractal of a pattern that I'm trading. And that's what I love about crypto and being in this for the long term, because I could be wrong, and it just gives me an opportunity to learn and hopefully see it recover into my interest over a span of 50 or 100 days. But when it's the most scary and boring, is a great time to just be in these markets and really accumulate and attack your thesis in the best way that you see beneficial for you. So just want to leave that there. And there's not a lot of technical analysis to go over. I'll probably continue to try and break this down on a smaller time frame just a little bit as to some of the things we've seen towards the end of this video, or like I said, in my next. But I want to share with you some important dates to watch out for. We talked about how we talked about how tomorrow was a very important day, and when we look at tomorrow, it's the 197th day of the year, and I want to start off there because that's the 45th prime number. And when we take a look at Bitcoin as well, we know Bitcoin gives us that 45 and reverse full reduction. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 is the number of spatial infinity. So very important there. But when we continue to look at this day, it's a day that leaves 2 months and 10 days left until the end of Rosh Hashanah, or a span of 72 days. So again, Bitcoin also gives us that 72, and we were talking about if we could possibly see a potential 72% increase on the, weekly time frame when we were to look at this with our firmament. If we were to see a potential 72% increase from the low to the high, it would bring us up here right around the top side of this fallen wedge or this firmament over the span of the next several days, right? So who knows, could this day tomorrow be starting that potential automatic rally that we've been expecting after seeing an oversold weekly RSI historically at levels never seen before, and other indicators showing like the MACD, a bullish divergence, etc. We've been in an 8-month downtrend. Where's the fucking bounce? What are you doing, Bitcoin? But this 197th day of the year being the 45th prime number, tying us into Bitcoin, it also ties us into the 45th element, which is, got an atomic weight of 102, and tomorrow is, 10 weeks and 2 days to the end of Rosh Hashanah, and it's 2 months and 10 days, that 102. Just all tying us in here very exo and esoterically as to what we could possibly see take place moving forward. I just think this being a very, very important time period starting tomorrow, being the span of 72 days, leading into obviously around the 19th into the 20th, which is the date that adds up to 69. Bitcoin hit a 69K top on, the 201st day of the year is what this day will be, around the 20th. We know how important event 201 is, and this day is Wednesday, the day of Miracules, or Mercury. Mercury is the god of commerce, okay? And the 68 is what we get in Hermes. Hermes is another term for Mercury in a different mythology. So all very exoteric right here as to why we could potentially see the 20th be a very important day, because it's leading into the 21st. We're in the Shemitah year. Shemitah adds up to 70, and it's all about the 7-year sabbatical cycle. Not surprising here. This is the 222nd day of the year. Drop to 0, you get the 22. So the 21st and 22nd of every month, we tend to get a market reset and recycle in structure. So we're going to be paying attention to the 21st to the 22nd and 23rd, which is 5 days before our next new moon that comes in on the 28th. And the 23rd adds up to 72 as well. So all very, very important, giving us that 204th day of the year. Drop to 0, you get the 24 we get in the Jupiter logo, or the 24 and 204 we get when we type out cryptocurrency, giving us that 204. Not surprising. I'm going to leave this video there because I think it's jam-packed with a lot of information, and it's just a quick video for me to get fresh and back into things, because I've been off for a while, just letting myself absorb and get back into the flow of things. So take care, God bless, and pioneers rise. Build your legacy and build your fortress.